Here is my final team selection of the season. Okay, starting off then with my goalkeepers and defenders. I've gone for David De Gea in goal. Again, I think genuinely he's probably been the best goalkeeper in the game for the run-in. He's been getting consistent saves bonus as well as clean sheets, and I don't know what more you can ask for from a goalkeeper. Obviously won the Golden Glove now. Man United kept the most clean sheets, which is why I also have a good level of confidence in Luke Shaw. Also, I've said in previous videos, Man United don't necessarily have anything to play for the rest of the season. That's not exactly true, and there was a comment left on my previous video about this, but, you know, third and fourth place in the Premier League, there is a difference between the two. If you finish fourth, you've got to play a playoff fixture to get yourself into the Champions League group stages, whereas if you finish third, you go straight in, and I think Ten Hag and Man United, they don't want to risk that playoff game, so I don't feel there's going to be any major rotation for Game Week 38 for Man United. I think they're going to go full strength and try and keep a clean sheet and win that game. So David De Gea and Luke Shaw, I think, are two good options for this week. Kieran Trippier, one of my defenders. I just think he's been the best defender in the game all season. I know he had a bit of a drop-off in Newcastle, certainly haven't been keeping that many clean sheets, but he's been bumping his score up by some bonus points and attacking returns, and I'm very confident. You know, Chelsea away, on paper, you might think that's a tough fixture, but I think with the form that Chelsea are in at the moment, it's anyone's, to be honest. Anyone can beat them, sorry. So I feel like with Newcastle, Trippier can get me some points. And then Estupinian is my other defender. Genuinely think Brighton are one of the best teams in the league at the moment. They obviously slipped up against Everton, but they've reclaimed their form since then. Aston Villa away is a tricky fixture, but I do think he's a good option for that game, regardless. And then my midfielders and forward, Marcus Rashford maintains his amber flag. We'll see what happens with him. He might play the second fixture in game week 37 yet. I'm recording this on Wednesday morning, so he hasn't played his second fixture of game week 37 yet. So you might be watching this after then, and we've made a decision on Rashford based on that. If he doesn't play, I think, you know, we'll be looking to the press conference and any team leaks we get from Man United. Obviously, all the games in 38 kick off on Sunday afternoon. So we'll know, hopefully get some leaks for these teams before the FPL deadline. And for Rashford, I'm hopeful he plays, but I've got an option if he doesn't. McAllister and Matoma, very consistent with points this season. Matoma obviously dropped off a little bit, so I can't say very consistent with him, but I'm hoping against Aston Villa he can refine that form and get me some returns. McAllister, obviously on all the set pieces and penalties, looking really good. And Brighton, again, like I said with Estupinian, one of the best teams in the league. I've actually gone with Salah captain. He's the top player for expected points according to DraftHound in 38. And genuinely, he's not a minute's risk in my opinion. He's going to start that fixture against Southampton. Whereas Haaland, he's a minute's risk. And with lower expected points, I think, you know, you can definitely justify not captaining Haaland for 38. Obviously, again, similar to what I said with Rashford, we might have a leak going into game week 38. And then we can make a decision on captaincy from there. Watkins and Isak, two players that might make way for someone else depending on the Man City team, and you'll find out who that is in a second. I'm happy to have them in my team though. Not expecting the world with Isak stuck on the left wing. He doesn't seem to be getting that many attacking returns. In Watkins, he's been struggling to find the net of recent, and Brighton is obviously a really tough fixture. So either one of those could make way this week. And here's the team in its entirety. I've benched Raya, Grealish, Botman, and obviously Zinchenko, who's red flagged. There's just absolutely no point taking Zinchenko out when I've got two perfectly decent players on my bench. We'll see what happens with Jack Grealish. If he's predicted to start, I might stick him in for Rashford if Rashford is injured. You know, we'll see based on that one. I'm hoping we get a Man City team leak. Raya, he's not as good as De Gea, basically. Man City at home compared to Fulham at home, it's quite clear who to pick. And I feel like Botman, you're only getting clean sheet points from him. He's a nice bench option, but I can't justify starting him over the players that I've got already. Now, I was talking earlier about picking Salah as my captain, and here's why. Looking at the top 5 players in the game for Game Week 38, according to my friends at DraftHound. By the way, there's a link in the description. You can sign yourself up for free to see these stats yourself from DraftHound. Salah is top for expected points, and in my opinion, one thing that these figures can never put into perspective is their expected minutes. And for me, I think Salah comes out on top of all 3 of these players. Rashford's been ill and injured. Haaland, he's not going to be risked too much, and don't think he's going to play the full 90 against Brentford. Whereas Salah, you got to think, you know, he's definitely on the penalties. He's looking really good for Liverpool. Liverpool's still attacking really well. They might not be as good as they have been defensively in previous seasons, but I feel like going forward, they're just as good as they have been. Southampton, they're already down, so I don't really see them putting up much of a fight against Liverpool. So for that reason, I would largely agree that Salah is the best captain. And I think just the fact that he's not really a minutes risk, I think I'm going to give him the armband. And you can see the rest of the players ranked there, who are alternative options if you don't fancy Salah. Right, and a couple of transfer plans that I'm thinking up for 38. One of them, if Rashford is still, not playing in 38, or we get a leak, or he gets injured in 37 or whatever, I'm thinking of taking him out for James Maddison. I also have Jack Grealish on my bench, who could make way for Maddison as well. For me, I just feel like Leicester have more motivation than any team at the moment in the league to win their game against West Ham. Their safety is in the hands of other teams, but they simply have to win their game to ensure they have any chance. I also feel, West Ham are not playing badly at the moment, but their focus has got to be on that Conference League final. They're safe. They don't really have much to fight for, whereas Leicester, it's at their home stadium against one of the teams you'd actually want to face at this stage in the season, in my opinion. I feel like they've got a chance of winning the game, and surely if they win the game, Maddison's got to be involved. He didn't start versus Newcastle, which I thought was absolutely just unbelievable, to be honest. I know they kept a clean sheet, but towards the end of the game when he got on the pitch, he was creating chances, and Leicester, had the best chance of the game, and it was as a result of Maddison's cross. It was Castagna having a shot and Pope saving low, and it was an unbelievable save, to be honest, to keep Newcastle in the game. So yeah, Maddison's always a threat. His underlying numbers are excellent. And despite the fact that Leicester have obviously been playing poorly, 0.67 expected returns per 90, that's better than the likes of Odegaard, Saka and Martinelli. And this is, he plays for Leicester. For that reason, you really, in my opinion, have to consider him. I'm looking at maybe taking out Rashford if he's still injured. I've got Grealish on my bench as well, who could make way. But yeah, I'm really liking the look of James Maddison for this week. And the final player I'm eyeing up, I know a lot of people have him already, but for me, Alvarez looks like a really good option. Regardless of, in my opinion, just regardless of what the pet roulette looks like, whoever Pep picks in his team, obviously it's going to be a bit of a, it's hard to say that, isn't it? Pep picks. It's going to be hard to, predict exactly what his 11s are going to be. But you got to think, Alvarez's minutes have been limited in the Premier League, right? They've won the title. He'll want to keep Haaland fresh and play some minutes, I'm sure of it. But for me, there's no way that Alvarez comes out of the pet roulette without getting some minutes in 38. I know he's, getting good minutes in 37, but for me, he's going to play again in 38 to some level. And we'll see a Man City leak. So probably if he doesn't start, I don't think there's any justification to bring him in. But I think he could well start in 38, and we'll probably see that in a leak. And for me, I just think 6 million for the guy that might play centre forward for Man City is unbelievable value. And his underlying numbers, they're not quite as good as you might think they are. 0.56 expected returns per 90. But again, that's the level that sort of Saka and Martinelli have been playing at. When you've got a similar player playing up front for Man City for 6 million with those similar numbers, I think you've always got to say he's a good option. And also, I don't really fancy Ollie Watkins anymore at the moment. I've kept him in my team and held the faith, but I think his run of form has come to an end. So maybe he could be the player to make way for Alvarez. And that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a like rating and subscribe to the Golden Goal channel down below. Let me know what you think of my team and if you have any suggestions that I haven't already mentioned. FPL is all about difference of opinion. So if your opinion is different to mine, I value it and I'd very much like to hear it. I'll see you in the next video.